Okay, I don't know if somebody is watching here in the direct emission. I think not, because I have a relatively uh, small fan base on my channel, and it's very rare that I send direct. But I have passed 1,000 subscribers with 3 persons as of today, so that's good. Um, so if you're not a subscriber and you like my content, you sh maybe you can subscribe, huh? Like a video and subscribe. Um, I do this mostly because it's like just showing what I'm doing, where I am, and things I find interesting. I'm not really into like a professional YouTuber. I don't have energy and time for that, but it would be nice, of course, to get some money from the channel. I have so many videos in Viking Rogaland, all from cooking to traveling, from Norway to Philippines, Thailand, Indonesia, um, etc. So, and about motorcycles, which is one of my main hobbies, many things. So, maybe you can check it out and find something you like. So, anyway, today I want to talk about something that is very much in the limelight in the media, and especially here in YouTube, and that is the different diets that have become popular. Now we know that to be a vegetarian is an old tradition among especially the Hindus, um, and the reason why they are vegetarian is because in their eyes and their religion, uh, there is not a very big difference between a man or a woman and animals. Uh, we are basically the same, interchangeable. So if you eat an animal, that might be um, a reincarnated uh, relative or friend of yours. So this is the main reason for people not eating meat and fish and stuff. They are vegetarians. I think vegetarians might eat egg and they can drink milk, but it's quite uh, yeah, restricted. So just stay away from meat basically and eat fruit and vegetables. That is the slogan. And now, from a religious perspective, I am a Christian, so I don't believe in reincarnation. Okay, so I believe that man is created in the image of God. And then we have another similar but even stricter diet that is called veganism. Vegan. So the vegans will avoid everything that comes from an animal, as I understand. They will not get dairy products, and they will really, yeah, they cannot eat egg, of course, stuff like that. They will strictly stick to the plant and fruit uh, diet. The majority of, I think, from of the vegans, they do this because they respect the life of animals. So they think it's not a good thing to kill an animal for your food. Now, I'm not a specialist in veganism. I think I'm not in vegetarianism either. But I've been to India a couple of times, and so I have been eating vegetarian, and it's very interesting. They are very clever to make it tasty and lovely and yummy. What I realized is that many of those vegetarians they are quite fatty because sugar is a part of their diet. Sugar, rice, starch, all those things. So we have these two diets that are on the one side, which is basically it's inspired by religion or philosophy, and then we have the diet that has been promoted for the last 30 years in Norway and probably in the United States, etc. And that is avoid fat. That has been the government's recommendation. So they have a food pyramid where what you're supposed to eat the most is at the bottom, and then on the top there will be fatty products. That means you will hardly consume any of them. Let me also say that there is this idea in the new religion called the global warming or climate changes that want you to avoid to eat meat because the farts from the cows, for example, is gonna destroy the environment, right? Um, okay, so I think it's very funny. And then they talk about carbon footprint. It's like we are alien invaders here, and we should do as little as possible with our lives. We should rather just kill ourselves, because when you exhale carbon dioxide, right? So now carbon is the building stone, building material in all living creatures. So, and of course, the more carbon dioxide there is in the environment, in the air, the better the plants will grow. So all this is just hogwash. This idea that we should not eat animals at all. Basically, we should not eat meat. So they want to make artificial meat. So this is a different ideology that has come up recently. And then you have I'm going back to that standard diet that has been recommended, and it says avoid fat, and so I remember back in the early 1980s they would have a lot of products coming in the supermarkets in Norway where it says fat free, but a lot of sugar. The problem is that all these people who have followed this food pyramid, they have become more and more overweight. So now, of course, the reason that we are overweight is basically because we have been a culture where so many people, they are not using their body in their work, just sitting on a chair like I'm doing now and working on a computer or talking in the phone, or teacher, you will be standing there, maybe hopefully I am a teacher by the way, so yeah, you will be standing there in front of the students. Sometime you will walk around, but still it's not really work. That's why it became so popular with going to the gym and workout. So at least your body will have burn calories, they say. So here is this thing about this what should we call this diet, the standard official approved diet, is that calories in and calories out. The thing about calories has been very focused on count calories. Now, calories, that is the value of something that burns. So what is interesting is that it doesn't matter how many calories the stuff you take into your body has. What is important is how do your body react and take care and digest that stuff. Let's say, for example, a piece of firewood, it has a lot of calories. But if you boil it and make it possible to maybe you boil it, you use whatever you do, you make it eatable, and then do you think you want to be fatty because of all the calories? Of course not. So meat and fat from animals have a lot of calories. You can burn. It's oil, natural oil from the fat of the animals. You can actually make fire on that one. Just see if you put it on the barbecue and it starts to melt the fat, and you will have the fire, flames coming up, right? But again, that is not what is interesting. So when they say calories in, calories out, is actually just bullshit, and you see it because of all the people in our culture, they have becoming bigger and bigger and bigger, whilst trying to follow this diet. And so back in the day, it was in the early 1900s. There was this guy. His name was Banta, and he suggested that people eat only beef. So we took them into treatment if they were obese, they had the problems with the body fat. So they would only eat beef, if I recall it well, and then he will instruct them to walk quite a long distance every day. So, and that was very successful. And the Swedish word banta, it means to lose weight, to slim. In Norwegian we say slank. Yeah. It means that you are restricting your diet because you want to lose weight. Okay, so banta in Swedish, that comes from the guy I mentioned there. So there have been people who had this insight a long time ago. What is very important is to see that at that time, I'm talking about 100 years back in time, the main reason for death was war, right? And not heart failures and stuff like that. But then they started to refine everything. They refined the salt, they refined the flour, they polished the rice, all these things. And so what they did, they took out the nutrients from the grains and those things. And then also industrial farming, where they are actually planting the same stuff over and over again on the soil, that the soil will be depleted of minerals. And so the only thing that matters for the farmer and the food industry is the size of the thing, So they want to have a very big chunk of, let's say, potatoes or carrots, bananas, whatever they are producing, and then they want it to look big and nice, watermelons, etc. The problem is that apples, fruits, if you are growing apples and fruits in a very how can I say, big scale, it can be quite I'm a Norwegian. Usually, if you buy an apple, I said many of the apples are, for example, they are produced in China, so they are big and nice, good looking, and oh, it's so sweet, huh? But the original apples, they are actually quite small. You have different breeds of apples, and some of them may be very sour in the taste and so forth. But these apples that have been growing in your backyard in the old days, they are quite healthy. So nowadays, when you go to a shop and a supermarket, even in the fresh food market, if it's a farmer's market, that's a very more better thing. So the problem here is that we have a loss of natural nutrients, and especially the, like I said, you have all kind of colloid minerals, because if you eat pills to get the minerals, maybe some of it will not be getting into your body in the correct form. It should be in a colloid form. A colloid form is when the plant extracts it from the soil, and then those minerals are available for us when we eat them. And then let's continue to, I think it was 1973. There was this American doctor, heart specialist, Dr. Atkins, who studied the results from German scientists about how sugar is destroying our health. and how fat and protein are very good for us. So he published a book. It was called the Slimming. Wait, yeah, something like the Slimming Revolution, something like that. And he was ridiculed by the other doctors because at the same time was being promoted that you should avoid fat because the cholesterol is damaging you, and so there was an explosion of heart disease. And Dr. Atkins, he was a heart specialist, so so he was not taken seriously. But now he's been taken very serious in the late years. I purchased his book, The New Slimming Revolution. I bought it in Norwegian, Den Nye Slanke Revolutionen. It's called. Very interesting, very, very interesting. Because I've been trying to lose weight. Obviously, I had jobs where I didn't use my body much, so, and a lot of stress and stuff. And there are many reasons why people are getting overweight. Also because you eat processed food, and even there are inflammations, so what would be good to eat, let's say 80 years ago, if you eat the same things today, you may have big problems because there is a lot of pesticides and all kind of bullshit in the food that is produced today. Dr. Joel, I don't remember his other name, but it's Joel something. He was a veterinarian, and he went to Africa and made some studies there and observed the big animals there and how they got their minerals by the drinking water, etc. So he made a lot of research, and he found out that he could cure many in animals back in the USA if he put them on some diet and gave them additives in form of having enough of these minerals. We found out that the main problem, main cause for sickness and diseases and problems like that, it's a lack of the minerals. He even treated a lot of children in China by helping them getting this balanced minerals in their food, and it helped tremendously. So Joel Wallach is his name. He is a very interesting guy, and he wrote a very famous book that is called Dead Doctors Don't Lie. Okay, Dead Doctors Don't Lie. And he was a doctor also because he realized, okay, I'm treating animals because a farmer, and he himself grew up on a farm, and they were raising livestock, like cows, calf, stuff like that. And he was feeding them, and he realized, okay, we give them all these very good minerals and balanced meals, food, because we cannot afford to lose these animals, correct? So a veterinarian, his job is to save the animal and to avoid that it becomes sick. While many medical doctors who are brainwashed by the pharmaceutical industry, they just want to make money when they see you. Oh, yeah, you have diabetes. Oh, hallelujah, I'm going to make a lot of money. You can buy a new boat maybe, and because once you have a diabetic patient, wow, and you're going to make a lot of money on that one. But Joel Wallach says that you can just get rid of diabetes very easily by adding, I think it was chrome and some other material. Chrome and vanadium. Now, Joel Wallach, he found some sources. He bought some land. I think it was in Utah or something like that. They found an area where there was a lot of colloid minerals in the soil. So he makes his own products, selling them, and I think they are very effective, but I was not allowed to import them to Norway. Very crazy. Not allowed. So what he did was telling people, okay, you get you get into the minerals, and then you avoid sugar and starch. And he had a very big success. He also said you can use cartilage. Like you boil, you get the cartilage from the animals, from chicken, from wherever, and that cartilage will help healing your joints if you had joint problems. And also he recommended big doses of vitamin C, etc. He also said that you should stay away from gluten. You should eat gluten free. I have seen that some people say that the wheat and the grain that is produced today has been radically changed for the last maybe 60, 70 years. So back in the day, there was not a problem with the gluten intolerance and those things. But these days, it is a big problem. It might be a combination of our polluted environment, and also that they have changed, like upgraded the natural corn. So it is quite interesting to see that many people get rid of their health issues when they avoid gluten. So that is another thing, gluten free. My father-in-law, he has celiac. He is a celiac. I don't know how you say in Norwegian. It's called celiaky. He almost died because he was intolerant to this the normal flour, bread, etc. So if he wants to eat something, it must be gluten free. And then you have back to Dr. Atkins. He actually, I think he wrote in the book that he had been treating 50,000 patients through his life, because when the new Slimming Revolution book was published, it was quite not so long before he died. He actually, I think he died in the age of 81 while falling down the stairs from his attic, and he broke his neck. But he really showed me something interesting, very, very interesting. Because the problem is when you have reached a certain level of overweight, how can you get rid of it? You can try to exercise, you can try to do this, do that. If you try to do some jogging, I just need to go and get my door. The wind is just a moment. Oh, here we are again. The big secret that made me a very successful weight loser back in 2006 was something that we call ketosis. To get your body into ketosis. I had tried, I tell you, exercising, walking, all kind of push-ups, sit-ups, and I basically couldn't lose anything. I was also eating healthy, and avoiding sugar, all those things, avoiding bread, avoiding potatoes, but still, I had the big belly. I still have a big belly now. That is because I drink a lot of beer. Sorry, dear. But I'm feeling very well. No problems whatsoever. So that is most important. Me, I'm an omnivore. I eat everything. I eat basically everything, but I try to avoid especially white rice. But I'm living in Thailand and the Philippines. Here, rice is a staple, and especially the white rice. So I buy some rice, not as natural as it comes. And sometimes I add a little bit rice if I do some cooking. And I always cook my own food almost every day. I love cooking. And I love to get the good quality stuff. Especially my staple is beef. Oops. Yeah, imported beef. Okay, you see. So, and then butter. Like this. Way. And then you can do. Mm, mm. And then, of course, eggs, and especially duck eggs. You can get the duck eggs. Mm. So, but I also indulge in. I love chilies. This stuff here. This stuff here. Cabbage, garlic, and black pepper, salt. I have Himalaya salt. I have uh, black Himalaya salt, which is fantastic. And I recently got hold of. Let me see, where is that salt? I don't know where I put it. It's a desert salt. Desert salt from India, from northern India. Very interesting. So it's good to be open for new ideas, and then you find out what works for you. So the reason why I am quite big is a beer belly. That's how it is. I'm I'm drinking this stuff every day, and not only one bottle, but 4 bottles, I think, in average. So of course it will affect. Now back to Dr. Atkins, and this with the ketosis is very interesting. And if you check out my channel, you can see when I went to ketosis and I went down all the way to 81 kilogram. Now I'm, I think, 104 kilogram, which has been my average weight for 20 years. But I went on this serious diet a couple of years ago, and like I said, I went down to 81 kilograms, which is quite incredible. The problem is I get gout, and I have done this before. So if I go serious on the ketosis, like Atkins promotes to get into ketosis, I will explain shortly what that is. But then I have sometimes gout. I cannot even walk. It's terrible in my feet. I never have gout in my life if I'm not in ketosis. So I just had to tell my wife in the Philippines, please go and get me a big box of ice cream. And it disappeared very quickly after I started to take in a lot of carbohydrates. But it's what you're doing in the long run that counts. And now I feel good with my health. I never a problem. I have no pains whatsoever. So I'm very blessed with having a balanced diet. But again, now back to Dr. Atkins' research about ketosis. So what he said is, in order for you to burn your body fat, you have to restrict the carbohydrates that you eat. So during a 24-hour period, you shouldn't have more than 20 grams of carbohydrates, and you should eat as much fat as you can. So that basically means, I mean, even cabbage and so many of the vegetables, they have carbohydrates, and so just in order to be sure that your body kicks into ketosis, you have to stay away from all kind of carbohydrates. No tomato, nothing, no. Just what you're gonna do is maybe you can eat half a chili if you like spicy, but what you basically should do is to only eat fat and meat. The more fat, the better. So what happens is that in your liver there is a reserve, it's a storing. Your liver is storing quite a lot of carbohydrates. So if you go into ketosis, it's just like going into fasting. If you're water fasting, you're after, I think it's like 2 days, maybe 3 days, then the body will use its preserved, I mean, its preferred fuel, which is carbohydrates. But if you avoid all kind of carbohydrates, all kind of sugar, no eat rice, no rice, no bread, no potato, no spaghetti. You know what I'm talking about. No sugar, no honey, nothing. Just restrict it. After approximately 48 hours, your body has run out of carbs. Okay. Now, if you're fasting, the problem is you will lose a lot of muscles, and you will go fighting with, oh, I'm so hungry, I'm hungry. You get possessed almost by food if you're on a restrictive diet. Now, the interesting thing about Dr. Atkins' diet is he said you can eat as much as you want, as long as it's fat, you know, because the thing is when you eat fat, you will get quickly full, and you don't need to eat for a long time. So the whole point here is after approximately 48 hours, and you can eat anything as long as there's no sugar and starch in it. Okay, so what would that typically be? You eat cheese, just standard cheese. You eat eggs, and you eat bacon. You eat butter, of course. And if you can afford it, you buy fatty steaks, or I see if you live in a place where they have lamb. I love lamb meat, and lamb meat can be very fatty, and it's extremely healthy to eat, especially in Norway, where the sheep have been going up in the mountains all the summer, you know, and they became fatty. That fat is so yummy, and the meat is so yummy. I love lamb meat. Unfortunately, here in Thailand and Philippines, it's hard to get by. It's very costly. But in Philippines, sometimes I buy goat meat, but it's quite expensive in the market. So there is a financial side to it. You can also eat fish, fatty fish, like mackerel, and you know those salmon, of course, but salmon can be quite expensive. So the whole thing here is that some of the fishes that are fatty, that's what you want to eat. You want to have as much fat as possible. And what happens is that then your body starts to burn your body fat for energy. So, of course, if you eat a lot of protein and stuff, then it will take you a little bit longer time to burn your body fat. But you shouldn't be tempted by being hungry to eat something you shouldn't eat. So it's better you just eat enough to stop your hunger, to satisfy your appetite. Correct. I even would recommend to drink olive oil or even coconut oil. It's very nice, especially the unrefined coconut oil. Drink a little bit, like a couple of spoons of that one. And salt is, of course, very important always, and especially if you live in a hot climate like I do here. I'm sweating a lot, so salt, but not refined salt. Refined salt is very dangerous, very, very dangerous. It has been heated up to extreme temperature, so it's not natural anymore, and it has been giving anti-clumping agents, whatever it means. So it's gonna stay nice, you know, and not be stuck together when it's in your table. Look here, in this one here, I have that desert salt that I bought for, I think it was 49 baht. I don't know if you can see it. If I do like this, maybe you can see it. Yeah, I think you can see it there. Huh? So, avoid refined salt at all costs. Okay, so now when your body has switched over to to get its energy from fat, it will switch on like a fire on your own body fat. It's amazing. And if you buy these test sticks, I don't remember what they are called now, and it can be hard to find in some parts of the world, but I bought them online in the Philippines because the pharmacists knew nothing about it. So those are some sticks you put in. What I do actually, as when I go and pee, after I have been peed for a couple of seconds, then I put this stick in the pee just for a second or two, very short. And then it's a white plastic stick, and it has some color that will come forth if you have ketosis. So then it's usually like off-white when you start, but then you will see if you have your body is in ketosis. Ketosis is actually the result of your body burning body fat or fat in general. So this will become darker, like a purple, and the darker it is, the more heavy your body is into this ketosis. I mean, it means that your body is really successful in burning fat. Okay. So what I would do if I really wanted to have something else than egg and butter and meat and fat, maybe I would just add a little bit, like I said, maybe a little bit chili, a little bit onion in my food. Mushrooms are very good. Mushrooms don't have carbohydrates, at least not as I know. The thing is, every day when you are in the ketosis and when you don't know how your body reacts and stuff like that to different food, you should check your urine every day, and you should keep that color dark. But me, if I do it for a very long time, I get gout. Yeah. So many people say they get rid of the gout when they get into ketosis. So people are different, but for me, terrible. So I would suggest that maybe for 1 week, 2 weeks, you keep it in a strong ketosis, whatever you call that in English, system, so that your body will burn fat very effectively, and you will see it. You will see it. Sometime I can lose up to 1 kilo per day. It's crazy, but of course in the beginning that is water, not the water disappearing from your system. But the fact is, I went down from 99 kilo to 81 kilo in just 2 months. That's it. Not even 2 months, 1.5 months. Yeah. Whoa. So I lost like 18 kilograms in 1.5 months. There you go. Very lovely, this salt, by the way. Then the point is, you need to have some vitamins. Okay, there are actually vitamins and minerals in the meat. And if you have a good source of meat, or wild caught fish or game meat, like from hunting, stuff like that, or from, like I mentioned, the sheep or the goat who are roaming around and eating what they want to eat, or grass-fed, free-ranging cows and chicken, it's quite good. But still, of course, you need to probably get some lemon or some lime, squeeze in some drops there now and then, and drink in your water, so you get those vitamins that can be quite important. Like I mentioned, olive oil is very healthy, coconut oil is very healthy. But then after a while, when you have reached your goal, let me say you are like me, you are 100 kilos, and you want to get down to 80 kilos, you want to lose 20 kilos. That is totally possible. If you go on a fasting, like my friend Frank Williams or Francois Williams from South Africa, he was fasting for more than 40 days. The problem is, and that is a good thing, because you get rid of all kind of poison stuff, in you're really detoxing your body. So he managed to stay away for almost 40 days. I think he had to take something because he had gout, but he had gout before he started fasting, but it became worse. And that's what you want to avoid. So I would say that when you have reached like already, maybe you lost 10 kilos, you see, wow, this is going very, very fast. Then maybe you can add just slightly more carbohydrates from especially like as a cabbage, cauliflower, broccoli, of course, those kind of things. But just step by step, okay? Don't overdo it. A little bit more onion, and so you see the color on that stick. It turns a little bit lighter, but still very, very clear that your body has ketones in the urine, okay? So, because then you might not experience the big problem with the gout like I had, but many people don't have a problem like that. So it's up to you. But of course, it's not normal to be in this kind of ketosis all the time, right? Or is it? Because Atkins, I would recommend you to buy his book or books. And then he said that when you have reached the plateau where you want to be, your goal, then you can slowly introduce a little bit of this, little bit of that, maybe once a week. If there's a birthday party or something, you go there, you can take one small piece of cake or eat one slice of pizza, but only once a week. Huh? And what happens is your ketosis will be destroyed if you do that, but after a couple of days you are back again in the game. So that is what Dr. Atkins says. You go back to not back to normal, not back to the old normal, but you go into a new normal where you are very restrictive on intake of sugar and carbs. Now, I suppose you know that when you eat something, well, it's fruit, you drink juice, or you drink Coca-Cola, ordinary soft drink with a lot of sugar and stuff, or you eat potato or bread or rice, what happens is that your body will break it down to what we call glucose. Glucose, in Norwegian we call it blodsukker, blood sugar level. So that is, if you have diabetes, that will be high. Okay, it will be too high. And so if you have diabetes, it's perfect to restrict your carbohydrates. Don't take all the pills to be able to drink milk and eat bread and all that stuff. No, you have to adjust your body to the reality. Why should you give away all your money and sell out your health with all the side effects that might be by eating those pills for your diabetes? If you don't eat any carbohydrates, how can your blood sugar be high? It's impossible. It's impossible. So I had diabetes, so I know what I'm talking about. Very serious diabetes. But thank God, 21 years ago, I got rid of it. I was putting insulin every day. Hey, before 10 minutes before the meal, every meal, and then another one in my big muscle in my thigh, or my thigh, before going to bed. But miraculously, I was healed. I gave all the glory to God for that. But I know something about diabetes and blood sugar, glucose. Okay, so the point now is that the glucose will be your body's preferred fuel, as I mentioned earlier. Your brain loves to have it also, the glucose. It's very easy, and it comes from carbohydrates. Okay, so this is actually just some chemical terms. The point is, if you're not using up the sugar, the energy you get from your food on a daily basis, like hard working, walking, exercising, then your body will store the glucose as fat. Okay. So here's the problem: if there was an imbalance between your physical activity and the amount of carbohydrates, sugar, turning into glucose in your blood, and then being turned into fat. Now that you will build up fat, your body is like a saving bank. Like me, for example, I'm of Norwegian stock, and we have long winters in that part of the world. So just like a bear in the northern parts of the world, they will eat a lot of carbohydrates like berries and honey. They also will eat a lot of salmon if they can catch that one, depending on where they are. They want to put a lot of fat on the body so they can survive the winter, and then they will hibernate in the winter, right? So obviously it's the same for people like me coming from that part of the world. Winter is hard and winter is coming, right? So you better put on some fat, man. Because in the winter at the time, of course, there's no potatoes available unless you save them. There is nothing. The lake may be frozen. Okay, maybe you can catch some fish, but basically it would be very hard, for you. That is why your body is made like that. Some people, they can eat whatever they want. They don't put on fat. But if you have my kind of body, that is, your body wants to save fat for the winter. Okay. So that's it. Then I want to talk about carnivore. I also heard about this, what do you call it? Paleo, something like paleo diet. And I wanted to, they are a little bit different from, you have all kind of gurus who are teaching their details, their style. Basically, it's very good, I think, in these days, if you have problems either with your body weight or with all kind of inflammations and ailments. There are many people who find out that if they go on a carnivore, that means you don't eat anything at all, no herb, nothing, just products from the animal kingdom. Maybe you can get some mushrooms, I suppose, but then they get rid of those ailments. So that is totally understandable. But many of the people, the gurus in this kind of communities, whatever you call it, they have this philosophy. They say that before we lived in caves, we were cavemen. So you have this caveman diet and all kind of stuff. But of course, it's true that people were hunting. But I don't believe in the main history. I don't believe it. I believe in the Bible. And so I don't believe that they went from carnivore only and then started to. I don't believe that we have been here for hundreds of millions of years. I don't believe that. I believe that God made us almost 6,000 years ago, physically created us from the ground and blew his spirit into us. So we became a living soul. That's what I believe. And all the animals, plants were also created at the time. Now, if there has been something existing before on this earth, maybe they found very interesting stuff, old structures and all kind of, yeah. But I don't believe in Darwinism. I don't believe that story that they're saying that we were going from monkeys and developing and blah 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 blah. So for me, it's actually a question of belief. Also, I don't believe in their story. If you read the Bible says that Adam and Eve, they were allowed to eat all the green vegetables who have seeds in them, and they were allowed to eat fruit, but that's it. They were not allowed to slaughter and eat meat, because that would bring death into the paradise. Okay, and death is a curse. It was not the original plan of God. So you may wonder, why did he create the lions and all that thing? Yeah. Well, the Bible actually says that in the future, when God restores his kingdom on this earth, the lion will eat grass together with the lamb. And the child will play with the snake, the viper. By the way, I did that when I was a kid. I was born in Cameroon. I played with a very poisonous snake. I was, I think, 2 years old, 1.5 years old. I was sitting on the balcony and I found a bit small stick there, and the snake came along and I was poking him with the stick, and he bit the stick. And I did that for half an hour, and then suddenly the guy who was working, the local man who was working for us there, we called him the chef or the cook. He saw what happened and he managed to kill the snake. But that is quite amazing that because I think the snake would understand, this is innocent, he's no threat to me, you know. So we had a good time together, me and the snake. Anyway, now you have the big deal about the carnivore. Okay, so I would say everything is good. Everything is good. You can be omnivore like I am, but if you need to reach some goals when it comes to your body style, you can do that. Your health, if you have health issues and you can avoid them, get rid of them by changing to an extreme diet, is lovely. It's very good. One of my favorite YouTubers is a psychologist from Canada. So he only eat beef. Jordan Peterson. He has a daughter, Mihaela, who had so many ailments during her life, so many problems. It was terrible. And then she gradually eliminated stuff after stuff from her diet. And finally, she realized that if she only eat beef, day in, day out, steaks, then her problems are basically gone. Oh, very interesting. So her father also had this kind of similar problems. So Jordan, he started on the same diet, and it works out fantastic for him. I think that in our modern society, there are so many pollutants, so many problems, both in the food, in the water, in the environment, in the air, that it destroys our basic health. So now I would say, why do they eat beef only? Well, beef is what they found out to be good. No? I would prefer to eat beef, goat, lamb, and also pork, because I'm a New Testament believer, so I believe we can eat anything we want. Of course, we can eat pork, but the problem with pork is that it is an industrial raised animal, correct? So you don't know all the bullshit they put in the feeds there and antibiotics and stuff like that. So I would avoid farmed, like big farmed, industrially farmed animals, also like pork, also chicken, broilers. It's better if you can grow. I mean, you keep some chicken. I have done that for many years. I have my own chicken, the natural breed, what you call it on heirloom, or I don't know exactly what it is, but the old original chicken, you know, and they give eggs, and you make chicks, you let them roam around free, so they can eat grass and insects, worms, all the things they were meant to eat. That is fantastic. If you want to have some healthy vegetables, try to grow it in your own backyard or even inside your house. Just some herbs, you know, maybe some tomatoes, whatever. It's important to add some wood ash on your garden plot where you were growing stuff, fruit trees or whatever. So there is nothing, no problem if you have your own farmer. You know, he is doing his business without all this modern poisonous stuff that they are spraying basically everywhere, spraying. Of course, it will destroy you completely. So just better stay away. And like, you can go on a carnivore diet if you can afford that. And like I would say, I showed you already here, you can actually, just if you have no money or very little money, avoid margarine. Of course, margarine is terrible. Avoid all kind of oil from seeds like soya bean seeds, sunflower seeds, canola seed, all this bullshit that is very dangerous. The only oil I can recommend is olive oil, coconut oil, and actually palm oil. Now there is a big environmental issue with how the palm oil is grown in certain places in the world, especially in Malaysia and Indonesia, where they have killed a lot of the original habitat for the animals, burnt down and just cleared out the original forest to put big plantations of palm oil. But palm oil in itself is a natural oil that is pressed out from the fruit of that tree. So this is the point. You want to have natural food as much as you can. Avoid milk. If you want to have milk, you eat cheese. That's okay. That's from the milk production. You know, butter is from the milk production. Goat milk in small, moderate versions is good as long as it's natural. So the thing is, get up your ass up from the chair, get around moving, and be active, and you find out for yourself who you are and what you need. But I tell you, if you are a vegan, you are in for big problems. You need to have some meat. You say, "Oh, I cannot. I don't have the conscious or whatever you say. I cannot eat." That is resulting that somebody killed an animal. Well, the problem I've run is that when they are harvesting these grains you want, a lot of animals there that are being killed because you want the grain. They have this big machine run, and all kind of animals are living in that field. Of course, they are chopped up and murdered. So let me go back a little bit back to the Bible as a reference. So before Adam and Eve committed the big sin of eating the fruit from the tree that they were not allowed to eat from, they were allowed to eat all fruits, everything there in the garden. But God, just to test them, He said, "This one tree, don't eat that fruit. If you do, you will die." And so, of course, they ate it. What happened after that? They lost their everlasting potential everlasting life. Okay, and they were naked, and what happened is that God clothed them with skin, probably from a lamb. So it means God slaughtered for the first time in the world history somebody, and it was God who slaughtered. I think it must have been 2 sheep, maybe more, to get enough skin to cover the nakedness of Adam and Eve. Some old texts outside of the Bible says that they had the glory of God covering them before they sinned. That's why they didn't feel they were naked or anything. But the moment when they eat that fruit and sinned, that glory was gone. And this, oh, look, oh, what happened? And that's why God clothed them with skin. But why with skin? Why couldn't He just make it from something else? Because this is the sacrifice. The Bible says that without the shedding of blood, there is no forgiveness for sins. So the ultimate sacrifice of God was Jesus Christ when He shed His blood for us on Calvary. But just to stall the punishment, there was sacrifices, during the Old Testament, sacrifices from all the way from birds to big bulls, lamb, goat, whatever. So God actually had to kill and let blood in order to cover their sin. Now, the blood of animals, according to the Bible, according to the letter to the Hebrews in the New Testament, for example, it says that the blood can cover temporarily. Blood of animals can cover temporarily the sins of people, but they had to repeat it again and again, at least every year and so forth. But the blood of Jesus not only covers the sins, it actually eradicates the sin, eradicate it, so it's gone, so it doesn't exist anymore. That is the big thing about the blood of Jesus. Now, God chased them out of the Garden of Eden, and he said, you have to work on the soil. So it was not like they were living for thousands of years as hunters and gatherers, roaming around, living in caves. Of course, maybe they lived in cave, because if you don't have the skill how to make a house, a structure, a cave can be a good place. But the thing is that God told them to till the soil. So you shall work the soil in the sweat of your brow. That's what God told to Adam. So he became a farmer. He started to farm, to grow plants, vegetables, and fruits. But now the earth was cursed because of the sin. So there were thorns, there were problems, he really had to suffer and work hard to get the nutrition he needed. Now, Adam and Eve, they are the parents of every human being. In the book of Acts, it says that we all come from one blood. That is the blood of Adam. And Eve, the book of Genesis, it says that she is the mother of all people living. She is the mother. There was not some other ladies lurking around there. It was Adam and Eve. And their children, they married each other. And they had probably hundreds of children, because Adam lived to be almost 1,000 years old. And so they are mentioned, Cain and Abel and Seth. They are mentioned by name, but if you read the scripture, it says that they continue to breed, they continue, and God has told them, multiply. Okay, so that's how it is. Then the earth was filled with violence, and blood was let, both of men and animals, and so God punished by sending the big flood. So only Noah and his wife and his 3 sons and their 3 wives, they survived together with the animals that were in the ark. So then God said, when they came out of the ark, and they had been there almost, I think, a year, it's a very long time, he said that now I will put fear between you and the animals, and you are allowed to slaughter and eat the animals. That is what happened. But it was not so from the very beginning. But in this kind of the state the world is in, the physical realm we are living in today, it is actually recommended to eat animal protein and fish. For example, Jesus talked about egg being a good thing. He said salt is a good thing. And his disciples, they were fishermen, right? And Jesus also did miracle with bread and fish. And after his resurrection, he was grilling fish by the side of the lake, the sea there, sea of, I don't know, it's called Gennesaret, whatever. Anyway, his disciples, they were out fishing, and then they saw Jesus after he was resurrected from the dead. He had made a fire and he was grilling fish. So we know that Jesus served fish and approved of eating fish. And of course, he would, if you see during the Old Testament also, it's like when it was Passover time, they will slaughter the lamb and they will eat the lamb. So it was very normal when Abraham was sitting outside his tent, and there came 3 angels One of them was probably Jesus before he was incarnated by the virgin birth. So when Abraham saw these three men approaching him or passing by, he said, "Oh, please come here, come here." And it says that he had some kids, that is some young, like baby goats. He had some kids, goats, get it? Not children, some kids slaughtered and prepared. And so they ate. They ate. The angels ate goat meat together with Abraham. So that's it. So we need to get things straight. Don't believe in Darwinism. Believe in God and follow his instructions. There's nothing wrong with eating vegetables and fruits, but just find a natural source for it. That's all I want to say about that. And then again, due to the circumstances we are living in, most of us in the modern world, everything has become poisoned. We have even microplastic everywhere, and you know we have all kind of radiation in the sea. There is mercury. So if you eat big fish, for example, like a big tuna, old fish, there's a lot of mercury poisoning in it. So educate yourself and find out what works for you. Thank you for your attention. Bye bye.